Jaguar Wright has always been known as a fearless woman who never hesitates to speak the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Her life has been filled with controversies, but one thing about her has remained the same. She refuses to stay silent. Every time she speaks out, people either believe her words completely or dismiss her as someone just looking for attention. But this time, what she revealed has shaken the entire entertainment world to its core. Jaguar claimed that behind the glamour and luxury of the music industry, there are secret gatherings hosted by some of the most powerful names. These events are nothing like the normal parties people imagine. According to her, they are places filled with dangerous temptations, manipulation, and activities that could destroy lives forever. When Jaguar decided to go live and speak about these hidden parties, her tone was calm but serious. There was a raw honesty in her eyes that made it impossible to ignore her words. She said, "People only see the spotlight, the stage, the fame, but they don't see the pain and the darkness hiding behind it. I have seen it with my own eyes, and staying silent is no longer an option." Her opening statement left people stunned. Listeners couldn't stop asking one question: could Jaguar be telling the truth? And if she is, how much has really been hidden from the public all these years? As Jaguar continued, she began to paint a picture of the secret gatherings that most people could only imagine in whispers. She explained that Diddy, one of the most powerful figures in the music world, had a reputation for hosting exclusive parties. On the surface, they appeared glamorous, filled with luxury, celebrities, and high-class entertainment. But according to Jaguar, what happened behind closed doors was far from harmless fun. She described how invitations to these parties were not given to just anyone. Only those considered valuable or useful to the industry were allowed in. Artists, models, and young stars desperate for fame often saw these events as golden opportunities. Many walked in believing it would open doors for their careers, not knowing they were stepping into something much darker. Jaguar claimed that once inside, the atmosphere would slowly change. What started as music, drinks, and laughter would quickly shift into a world where limits disappeared. She said that alcohol and drugs were always in abundance, lowering people's guard and making them vulnerable. And once people gave in, they found themselves pulled into situations they could never have imagined. According to Jaguar, these gatherings were not about celebration. They were about control. She insisted that the true purpose was to bind people into silence, to make them participate in acts that could later be used against them. "That's how the system works," she explained. "They make you believe you're just having fun, but in reality, they're collecting secrets, making sure you can never walk away freely." Her words struck a chord because, for years, rumors of such hidden parties had floated around the industry. But hearing Jaguar speak about them with such confidence made the whispers feel frighteningly real. After laying out the dark picture of how these secret gatherings worked, Jaguar's tone grew even more serious. She leaned forward, almost as if she wanted her words to cut through the noise of doubt. This was the moment she decided to drop names, and what came out of her mouth left everyone speechless. Jaguar claimed that several well-known female celebrities had not only attended these parties, but had also suffered the consequences of being there. According to her, some of them left with more than just bad memories. They walked away with health problems that changed their lives forever. She didn't hold back, stating clearly that infections were spreading at these events because of the reckless and careless behavior encouraged inside those walls. Her statement was shocking, not just because of the claims themselves, but because she was brave enough to name those involved. She mentioned how these women were seen smiling in front of cameras, performing on stage, and carrying on with their careers, while behind the scenes they were silently fighting battles no one knew about. The world saw them as flawless icons, but according to Jaguar, the truth was much darker. She made it clear that she wasn't trying to tear anyone down. Instead, she said her purpose was to reveal the ugly reality that the industry wanted to bury, People think these women just disappeared, or that their careers slowed down because of bad choices, she explained. But what they don't know is that some of those choices weren't really choices at all. They were trapped, manipulated, and left broken in ways you can't see on the outside. The moment Jaguar finished naming names, social media exploded. Fans were torn between disbelief and fear. Some asked, could this really be? While others felt like her words confirmed suspicions they had carried for years. Jaguar didn't stop at just naming the women involved. She went further, connecting the dots between what happened at those parties and the struggles many of those celebrities later faced. She explained that once the cameras were off and the lights went down, their lives were never the same again. According to Jaguar, some of these women began to quietly step back from the spotlight, making excuses for canceled tours, sudden breaks, or mysterious health concerns. Fans thought it was exhaustion, stress, or even personal decisions. But Jaguar insisted the real reason was tied to what they had been exposed to inside those secret events. They couldn't say it out loud, she explained, because if they did, the entire system would come crashing down, and they knew the cost of speaking out. She reminded people of how, over the years, many rising stars suddenly disappeared at the peak of their fame. Some dealt with breakdowns in public, while others slowly faded away without explanation. Jaguar claimed these weren't coincidences. She said the pain they carried wasn't just emotional but physical, a hidden battle that they had no choice but to fight in silence. Jaguar painted a heartbreaking picture of how these women had to keep smiling for the cameras, pretending everything was fine while privately struggling with their health and self-worth. The industry, she said, wasn't there to support them. It was the very reason they were suffering. Imagine having the world cheer for you, she said, while you're dying inside and can't tell anyone why. That's the price of fame in this business. Her words left listeners unsettled. Suddenly, past interviews, moments of breakdowns, and unexplained absences from certain celebrities began to make sense to those who believed her. For many, Jaguar's story connected the missing pieces they had always wondered about. After exposing the hidden truth and pointing to the struggles of the women who had been affected, Jaguar shifted her focus to a message she wanted every young artist to hear. Her voice carried a mix of anger and pain, but also urgency, as she warned about the dangerous side of chasing fame in the industry. She explained that the world only sees the glitz, the red carpets, and the award shows. To outsiders, fame looks like a dream. But behind the glitter lies a machine built on manipulation, silence, and control. These parties aren't about fun, she said. They're a trap, a way to make sure you can never say no, never walk away, and never expose the people pulling the strings. Jaguar's warning was especially directed at women who are new to the industry. She said that the system preys on their dreams, using promises of success to lure them in. Once they step into those secret gatherings, they find themselves pressured into situations they never imagined. And once that line is crossed, their freedom is gone. You think you're making a choice, Jaguar explained, but in reality, they're making it for you. And they make sure you're too scared to ever tell your story. Her words carried the weight of someone who had seen too much and couldn't stay quiet anymore. She admitted that speaking out was dangerous, but staying silent was even worse. If I don't say something, she continued, how many more young women will walk into that same trap? How many more lives will be destroyed just to protect the image of a few powerful men? It wasn't just a revelation anymore. It was a warning, a plea for people to wake up and see the truth before it was too late. Jaguar wanted the world to understand that the cost of fame wasn't just pressure or stress. For many, it was their health, their freedom, and sometimes their very lives. After revealing the painful realities of what happened to certain women in the industry, Jaguar's tone shifted from exposing to warning. It was as if she was no longer just telling a story, but directly speaking to every young artist who dreamed of stepping into the spotlight. Her words were sharp, but behind them was a deep sense of care, almost like a big sister trying to protect others from falling into the same trap. She began by breaking down the illusion of fame. To the public, she said, fame looks perfect. Expensive clothes, luxury cars, red carpet events, and endless adoration. People see the smiles on stage and the glamorous interviews and believe that the life of a celebrity is the ultimate dream. But Jaguar explained that this image is carefully crafted to cover up what's really going on behind the scenes. They sell you the dream, she said firmly, but what you don't realize is that the dream comes with a price, and that price is often your soul, your body, and your peace of mind. Jaguar insisted that the so-called private parties were never about fun or networking as people believed. According to her, they were tests, a way to see how much an artist willing to give up for success. At first, the atmosphere would feel exciting. Music, drinks, laughter, celebrities mingling. But as the night went on, the real purpose of the gathering became clear. Boundaries disappeared and pressure mounted. Drugs were offered freely, situations escalated quickly, and those who refused often found themselves isolated or punished in subtle ways. She described how young women in particular were targeted. Many of them walked into the room wide-eyed, thinking they had been chosen because of their talent or potential. But what they didn't realize was that they were being set up. They make you believe you're lucky to be invited, Jaguar explained, but in reality, it's the beginning of your nightmare. By the time you understand what's happening, it's too late. You've already been pulled into something you can't walk away from. Jaguar's warning wasn't just about the acts themselves, but about the long-term consequences. Once someone had been involved, willingly or unwillingly, they were tied down forever. Secrets were kept, leverage was built, and silence became mandatory. That's how they control you, she said. They don't have to threaten you out loud. You carry the shame, the guilt, and the fear with you every single day, and they know you'll never risk letting the truth out. Her voice grew heavier as she admitted that speaking out was dangerous. She knew people would call her a liar, accuse her of seeking attention, or try to discredit her name. But she also knew that staying silent meant more women would fall into the same cycle of exploitation. If I don't speak, she said, then I'm just another coward who let it continue. And I refuse to let that be my legacy. The room grew quiet as her words sank in. Jaguar wasn't just exposing secrets anymore. She was making a stand. Her warning wasn't wrapped in fancy language or hidden messages. It was raw, painful, and real. She wanted young women, and even men, to see the reality of what they were chasing before it was too late. To her, this wasn't just about scandals or gossip. It was about survival. The industry will chew you up, spit you out, and then act like you never existed, she said. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your future. They care about one thing, control. And the only way to fight it is to know the truth before you walk in. Her bold warning became more than just a statement. It felt like a desperate attempt to save the next generation from walking blindly into the same traps that had destroyed so many before them. Supporters of Jaguar's story pointed out how her revelations seemed to connect with things they had noticed for years. They recalled sudden breakdowns, unexplained absences, or mysterious health struggles among famous women in the industry. For these fans, Jaguar's words felt like the missing piece of a puzzle they had been trying to understand all along. It finally makes sense, one comment read. All those strange disappearances, all those sudden changes in their careers, now we know why. But at the same time, critics were quick to attack her credibility. Some argued that she had no proof and that naming female celebrities without evidence was irresponsible and damaging. A few industry insiders even came forward to dismiss her claims, labeling her as unstable or someone chasing attention. She just wants to stay relevant, one voice said. If this were true, why hasn't anyone else spoken up? The split in public opinion only made the situation more intense. Media outlets rushed to cover the story, with some presenting Jaguar as a brave whistleblower exposing the dark underbelly of the industry, while others portrayed her as a reckless troublemaker. News panels, blogs, and podcasts debated whether she was telling the truth or spinning a dangerous conspiracy. For the celebrities whose names she mentioned, the reaction was even harsher. Fans bombarded their social media accounts with questions, speculations, and in some cases, cruel jokes. Some of these women chose to remain silent, while others made vague statements about protecting their privacy. Their silence, however, only fueled the fire, leaving people wondering if Jaguar's claims were closer to the truth than anyone wanted to admit. Despite the backlash, Jaguar stood her ground. She refused to take back her words or apologize for exposing what she believed was real. Her determination only added more tension to the conversation. Supporters admired her courage, saying it took someone with nothing left to lose to finally speak up. Detractors, however, warned that such allegations could destroy reputations and careers if proven false. The entire situation created a storm that the entertainment industry couldn't ignore. For the first time, questions about what really happens at these private gatherings were being asked openly, and people were demanding answers. Whether Jaguar was believed or not,